Todd, you guys have given up 6 points the last 2 games. What's kind of clicking defensively right now?
I think we're playing to our identity. I think guys have done a good job of understanding run fits. Really haven't given up explosive plays. We've made some plays on some balls. Stopping the run is always critical. I think we've done a good job with that. And then we've been able to get off the field on third down. So there's been a lot of 3 and outs, created a lot of negative yardage plays. I think we had 10 last week. So I think the combination of being able to stop the run, creating some tackle for losses to where they get behind the sticks, and the down and distance a little more in our favor. Guys doing a good job of communicating, understanding the route distribution, a way to pick up routes, and really just going and playing and executing.
How much has the depth that you guys have started to develop on the D-line really helped as well?
Yeah, I think depth of our team in general. I mean, the way we've moved and played at safety, at nickel, at up front. I think at all the positions. I mean, we play a lot of guys, but anytime you're winning games, you're going to have to rush the passer in the fourth quarter. So you've got to be able to rotate guys up front to get them fresh so they can go finish the game.
Todd, last year you made it pretty clear your thoughts on guys leaving early.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be another group of guys that have that decision coming up soon.
Right.
Do you feel like what happened with last year's group might be a little cautionary tale
for
them?
I think each person's an individual. So you look at each person and you're going to educate them as best you can on, hey, here are the things you do well, here are the things you got to work on. Here's how they see you in the league. I was there for 11 years, so I know what they're looking for, and I understand what they're looking at from a strength-weakness standpoint. It's really about development. It's not about, you get there, but then you got to be able to be developed where you can stay. So you take each guy individually, you talk to them, you assess their situation and where they are. Obviously, you're going to do what's best for them, and you really just give them the information. I mean, I don't think you can make the decision, for them. You just have to give them the information to weigh it out to what's best for them from a percentage standpoint for them in the future. Obviously, there's a couple guys that left last year that, we felt like should stay, and ended up being the correct thing to do. So I think that will help a little bit because guys see that and it's like, I make sure I make the right decision. So, we'll take each guy case by case and do what's best for them.
Will you be surprised if CJ came back, given all the buzz around him entering the season?
No, I think that at the end of the day, he'll just sit down with his family. He's a very prideful guy. He's a guy that has a lot of upside, a lot of ability. And he'll just have to assess, where he's at and where he thinks he can get to and make a decision from there.
What kind of season do you think he's had?
I think CJ's a guy that has worked hard. There's been a few plays that he would have probably liked to make, but, he's a guy that's helped us, get to where we are right now from a wins-loss standpoint. We've given up a lot of low numbers on defense, and he's been a part of that. And he's really helped our young guys as far as, when young guys like CJ and John work and prepare, even Marco for that matter, those guys prepare. The younger players that we're playing in the 2 deep can see it, and that helps. So from all of that, I think he's been a guy that's helped us get where we are right now.
Todd, Dan was talking about FSU having an interim coach now, and maybe that allows you to do some different things offensively, defensively. Mm-hmm. How much of a concern is that when you're evaluating their offense?
I think you still got to look at the plays. I mean, they've had a couple games where it's been free reign from a standpoint of, hey, the interim coach is here. They've played a couple games since then, so you're going to have that. We've got a bye week, so you're going to kind of look through games to see what's there and kind of – we already have a little bit of a history as far as going back pre-season to maybe things they like or he likes to make sure we understand the system and what we got to do. So we'll just kind of put it all together. At the end of the day, it's about, getting lined up and, beating blocks and setting edges and rushing passers and covering guys, and that's what we got to do.
Todd, do you feel like the defense has reestablished its identity a little bit these past 2 games? I know the opponent might not have been on the level of Georgia, but is it doing kind of the things, getting to the quarterback, creating the turnovers, things like that?
Well, that's the things that we want to do that's the things that we need to do to be successful. There's no doubt about that. I think the biggest thing that I like with our team is the amount of injuries that we've had. Guys have continued to play and step up. And sometimes it maybe wasn't as clean as we'd like, but they kept performing and getting better. And the results we've had the last couple weeks is a product of their resiliency, per se. And I think that's the biggest thing that with this group people ask me about is their ability to be resilient and keep playing regardless of who's up, who's available, that kind of thing. Just play the plays.
Who's developed the most this season?
Developed the most?
I mean, TJ Slayton, for example, seems to really come along, but who in your mind?
Well, I think that up front, TJ's a guy that was really noticeable last week. That's done a good job. I think, when you look outside, I mean, he's a young guy, but Kaiir's a guy. Elam's a guy that's really came on and been very productive for us. We knew he was a good player, but you never know how freshmen are going to be. And I think he's really developed into being a really good player. If you take, say, where he was at, say, week one here till now, he's done a really good job of being coachable. So I would say those two guys probably stick out to me the most. But as a general rule, I think all of our guys have done a good job of getting better in the areas we coach them to allow us to be where we are now.
David Reese's final game will be next week.
Yep.
I mean, he's played like 50 games for the Gators, held up tons of tackles. What's he meant to this defense, and just as a leader and just a productive player, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's a guy that was a good player before we got here. But he bought into our system the way we want to do it and the way we asked him to do it, and became really the quarterback of our defense. When he missed early last year, you kind of saw the effect of that on us. And when he came back, it settled us down and we played. So that kind of showed his leadership ability. I really thought he worked hard to be a better player this year, particularly in the box player as far as run fits and that kind of thing. He's a physical presence, in there. And, I mean, he's a guy that makes plays. I mean, even last week, he made a tackle in space on the back on a third down. That's a really good play. So he's really the leader of our defense. He's kind of the bell cow. He kind of gets guys going. He's a calming effect in the middle because he tells guys what to do and how to do it, with the calls. So he's obviously a big part of our success.
You talk about